Let me ask you a question. Are you one of the many sales reps using cold email in order to generate high quality appointments? If you are a savvy sales rep, chances are you are. And more importantly, with the tools that are available nowadays, we can be setting up automated cold email sequences that are really, really high quality emails with high quality outreaches. And so what I've done for this video is I've gone and interviewed one of the absolute gurus on cold email. His name is Ian Bloombergen, and he's the founder of Pilot Now. This guy is an absolute ninja at cold email. As I go through the interview with him, pay really close attention to every single thing that he mentions, because some of the things that he says are really subtle, but I promise you, if you implement some of these ideas, you are going to absolutely crush your cold email sequences. All right, Ian, psyched to have you here today. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Of course. So obviously the focus here today is the key on setting more appointments with cold email. So why don't we just dive in? What would you say is the first key point that folks need to use when it comes to setting up appointments with cold email?
Well, it's not rocket science. Your parents told you probably as kids, right? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So, you take the time at the top of the funnel to get everything right in the beginning, then everything becomes a lot easier. So kind of two parts to that. One is just the setup, right? Making sure you've got your DKIMs, the email set up right, picking the right email provider, depending on who you're going after, Outlook versus Gmail. Warming up your domain if it's a new domain to make sure that the sender help is there. Picking the right tool for outreach that you need and all that kind of stuff. And then kind of the basics, right? Email validity, right? Make sure your list is good using a good tool like zero bounce. Making sure there's no spam words in your content. Making sure that the contacts are ideal, right? They meet your ICP, right? Because in the end, you can have the right message, but if it's the right person, it's not going to get you anywhere. So now you get that all set up. You got your personas, you got your people, you got your systems, and from there, you're ready to go. Yeah,
it's so true. I mean, obviously, what you just said, there were a lot of pieces, and so for the folks that are not, cold email ninjas, I think there was a lot to unpack there. But I mean, some of the key takeaways that I had there is one. Obviously, just technically making sure that you've got deliverability figured out is obviously huge, whether it's making sure that you're sending to valid emails, you actually get your email account set up properly so that way it's connecting properly with the domain, and so you're not just getting immediately blocked by spam. Makes total sense. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the content. What would you say are some of the keys to that message content?
Well, a lot goes into that, right? So what we found is a cold outbound email, it's evolving, right? And the more people that do it, the number of people get to it. Just like any form of sales, no one picks up a telemarketer anymore because they get hundreds a day, right? And so, how do you stand out? And so the key there is just some personalization, right? Is to make sure that your message is geared to the individual or to the account, or ideally both. Right, so your vertical that you're going after, so you can personalize by that. What are the pain points you may solve for that vertical, right? The persona, they have different pains. The CFO is trying to save money, the marketing guy is this, the IT guy is that. So making sure that you take your core message and kind of cut it up a little bit so that it resonates a little bit more. And then keeping it short and simple, really important as well, right? You don't want a long email and that kind of stuff. So. And that's kind of the first bit, right? Just the personalization. The second thing is, and what everyone kind of forgets is, sales automation and marketing automation are not the same, right? Marketing automation is, glitzy, glamoury, beautiful, emails that end up in spam, right? Sales automation is one person messaging another. And, the biggest mistake most people make is they make it all about themselves, right? This is why we're great. This is why everyone loves us. This, so on and so on and so on. And what that really is an advertisement. And no one wants to watch a commercial, right? And so the key is really to make it about them, right? And so if you've done your research on the industry, on the prospect, on their persona, and the pain points that you solve for them, you can lead with that. Are you running into this pain point? How are you dealing with this pain point? I've been helping clients that are running, the similar space, the similar persona, handle this pain point. Are you running into the same? If so, I'd like to have a chat, right? And so if you do that, you're being very direct, you're not wasting your time, you're zeroing right on what you need, which also helps you down the funnel, right? You don't, you can be very vague in your message, you'll get a lot more replies, but now you got to triage those replies, they're not qualified, so on and so on. And so you pay the price for this. So yeah, just keep being really to the point, about them, not about you. And if you do that, you'll already be on your way, assuming again that your product is great, your pricing is reasonable, you don't have other big barriers like contracts, because ultimately no amount of lipstick you put on a pig is going to change it from being a pig. So you got to keep that in mind and then account for it. If your product is higher priced or you have more barriers, you just have to make up for it with either higher volume or even more personalization.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes so much sense. I think that even if you look at the perfect, considered a couple of years ago, what were the best cold emails? They were super generic, right? I mean, if you go onto those websites that show you like the ideal cold emails, a lot of them are from a few years ago that like whether it was Salesforce or these different kind of big users of cold email were using. And there really were basically no points of personalization with the exception of maybe a little segmentation personalization, right? Referencing the industry, or maybe obviously the person's first name and maybe their company. But it was really, really basic. And one of the takeaways that I've had from our relationship and our conversations is the idea of going so much deeper on personalization. I mean, could you just give, because I love when you talk about this, could you give a couple of examples of kind of what are some of your favorite current uses of personalization recently?
Yeah, I mean, it's really quick to preface that. Looking online for templates, which one's the best performing. In my humble opinion, it's all bullshit. All right. Someone else's template's not going to work for you. Right. It's your company, it's your product, it's your prospect. They're different. And so don't try to cookie cut someone else's into yours. Right now you can take inspiration, hook lines, subject lines, keywords, things like that, kind of length stuff. But yeah, in the end, you got to write it yourself. And your A/B testing of that message is going to end up really helping you improve it. Go to the personalization. Right? It's just really simple. Right? It really is, right? All you want to do, right? Because in the end, most people that are doing this, it's automation, right? And so no one wants to be automated, right? So if you have a sign that your message seems automated, you're going to lose replies. Even if the value prop is great, even if they have the pain, because they feel like, hey, if you can't have the time to write an email one by one to me, why should I give you the time, right? And so how do you do that in a way in scale, right? And so it really varies on, who you're targeting. If you have a large amount of prospects, right, unlimited, you're not going to go as deep with the personalization if you have a limited amount of prospects that you can burn through, right? And ultimately, there's really two types of personalization. One is easy, kind of standard, which goes a long way, and the other is kind of custom to what you're doing. And so standards could be, some tools will say, hey, business day plus 3 or 4, right? Use them, right? When I get a message that says, hey, are you available next week? That already tells me they don't have that tool kit, right? Are you available on Wednesday, right? But you can go one step further and very easily without doing any work. We have a snippet that says morning, early morning, late morning, early afternoon, so on and so on and so on. And that just varies at random, right? So now are you available Wednesday, early afternoon? The other one gets, are you available Wednesday evening? And is phone number the best number to reach you? Well, I got the phone number from my database. Might as well use it to personalize it, right? So those are kind of the easier ones. Industry. Hey, I've been helping my clients in the industry space. You don't want to be lazy with that, right? Because LinkedIn industry is not quite always what the company is. So you want to quick check that. Your client. We do this very often, right? If you got 5 client names you're going to drop, why not personalize that a little bit? If it's, if I'm reaching out to this vertical, I'm going to try and drop client 1 as someone in that space and vice versa, right? Second contact's another easy one, right? Well, hey, I know I've got 2 people on that list. Why don't I reference that other person by name as a variable? It could be a PS. Hey, I'm not sure if I'm barking up the wrong tree. Should I be talking to full name, right? And you'll notice it's working when you start getting replies like, hey, I get 10 of these a day. I'm not sure if we need you, but I'll take a look, right? And that's the sign that, hey, you've stood out, and you really don't, it's that age-old story, right? You don't have to outrun the bear, you just have to outrun your friend, right? And so it's the same thing with email. You don't need to be the best template or the most personalized. You just need to be better than everyone else or in that top 10%. Yeah. And so, 80, 90% of them are people that don't know what they're doing, so that's already easy. It's just the ones right there in that kind of 80th, 70th percentile that you want to get ahead of them. Yeah, a little personalization goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, I see with our work. I mean, to me, just a huge part of personalization. I mean, one obviously is you're personalizing the message and you're making it that much stronger, but you're also just signaling to the recipient of the email that it's not just an automated email, right? And that's that, and it is probably because it fits within a template that was really well thought out. It's probably one of the better emails that they're getting, anyways. And then when you add in that personalization, it makes such a big difference, because I mean, I think we all know when we receive an email and it's like just little things are off, like maybe they reference our company name but it has like the LLC
Exactly.
with the ink in it, and you're like, this is bad, this is bad personalization. It's like immediately out. So just those little details make such a big difference.
Well, and LLC is a pretty obvious one, but it even goes one step further, right? Where you can tell, hey, the company is exactly the way it is in LinkedIn or on a database, and you can, it's great. So you can write a very simple Google Sheet script that'll take, if it's a company with two names, right? Bob and Bob's Laundry, then you would change it to BL. Now, hey, what is BL doing? And they right away realize, oh, no, we don't call it BL, but I know that's me, right? They reference it. And so now they reply because they straight away realize, hey, this is not automated, even though it really is. We just changed company name from Bob's Laundry to BL.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, the founder of Bob's Laundry, he is a very discerning recipient of emails. So we're going to watch out for him.
Of course.
All right. That's awesome, man. So what would you say is the next key idea for really setting more appointments to cold email?
Urgency. The biggest mistake everyone makes is when you do all this work, you start getting replies, and then you drop the ball. And we were just talking about this before our call started about salespeople just not doing their job, right? And so the metrics are clear; they're all over the internet. You Google them, right? Drop off happens, right? If you do not reply within X minutes, it drastically drops, right? I think it's something within the first half hour you lose almost 50%.
Yeah.
And so have urgency. That goes one step further, right? You can have triggers and actions, right? Hey, if something's open, something happens, right? A task pops up or another message, so you can do that. You want to strike while the iron's hot, because we know the game, right? You wait an hour, they've now gone to the computer, now you come, and in the end, sales, no matter what you're doing, whether you're knocking on doors, you're doing this, you're high-level consulting like you, impulse is impulse, right? You want to close people at the height of impulse. The minute your conversation ends, the impulse starts to drop, right? Time kills it, right? They find another company, or they weren't as interested. And you see it all the time. When you follow up 3 days later, well, what was this about again? They've completely forgotten why they were interested, right? And so you're almost starting the game all over. And it's such a waste of all the hard work you put in. So just make sure you set up alerts, make sure you react quickly. And if you do that, you're in the game. And from there, it's just the normal sales process of walking them through the steps and getting them on the call.
It's so funny that something as simple as that is one of our key points, but it's so true, right? I mean, we spend all this time, effort, and money putting together these amazing campaigns, and then people are taking, 12 hours to reply to an email, and you're like, what's going on? I think this is so true for follow-up and all sorts, whether it's inbound or outbound or whatever. It's, I think the data is very clear. I mean, the top companies, I see it a lot more, the statistics with inbound response, but, companies that respond within like 6 minutes, the likelihood of converting that lead into an appointment is like double. I mean, it's really compelling.
And part of it is the mindset, right? Everyone sees leads as the same. And a marketing marketing qualified lead is not a sales qualified lead, right? So if you're used to those, you don't, I missed one, right? Chances are out of 10, 2 are only going to be qualified anyway. I lost it. Probably wasn't a good deal anyway. And that's a fine mentality for inbound to a certain extent. The problem with outbound is you picked your prospect. You pick them for size, for revenue, for persona. So other than the timing and the budget side of things, and even the budget you've got a little bit from their revenues, right? You've got a sales qualified lead there.
Right.
And so you should treat it as such, right? And so if you take that mentality very quickly, the culture might change on your team, and you'll see the results, double, triple, so on and so on. And then just going real big back to the core messaging, the personalization, I forgot to mention one key thing that we've noticed. Right, the industry is changing, technology is changing, and so you're always trying to stay ahead of, Google's, Outlooks, and all their ways of figuring out are you, a spammer or not. And so, one big thing we've been doing for almost now 2 months and makes a huge difference is we no longer track clicks ever, because it's a big, sign, right? We just try and get them on the back end, right? Hey, custom landing page, so on and so on. And we don't even track opens on the first step, just because that pixel with your text ratio, you lose about 5 to 10%, if not more, like Mimecast or some of the more serious providers. So just wanted to quickly throw that in there because it makes that's a 10% difference. That's the ball game right there.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, turning off open tracking is a really scary thing for a lot of people, but it is it's something that we do too, and it does. I mean, especially on the first email, it's always tricky because you're kind of excited to know how people are responding to the content, but it makes total sense.
But in the end, you can have a rough open tracking, right? Your replies are consistent, your unsubscribes are consistent, your auto replies are consistent. So, those numbers combined through a quick score algorithm tells you roughly what your open rate is. So you still can have the visibility to know, hey, something really bad is happening or something really good is happening, even though you might not be able to, if it's in a gray area, to see how good or how bad. So, and then once you get to step 2, you've got your open, and you can see that, knowing as well that, hey, step 2 is always going to be a little bit lower, and you take that into consideration. Those are just kind of industry standards of how much drop-off you get per step. Makes sense.
Cool. So what would you say is the last key idea here for cold email setting more appointments?
Again, it's evolution, right? What worked today doesn't work tomorrow. And so, we're finding as well that, you can't have it as a single channel, right? You can't have email be the only touch point because you have different people. Some are technical, some are not, some are on the move, some are not, some are on their email, some are on their phone. And so, be smart about it and pair it with other touches, right? That could be, hey, let me do a quick LinkedIn connection request and maybe reference the email, right? That could be, hey, let me do a voicemail drop at scale, which you can do. It could be, hey, let me record a personal video. You'll love this. We're doing a hack right now. You'd be surprised when you take a list of 1,000 prospects that we're reaching out to. About 400 of those will share roughly about 40 names, the most popular names, John, Dick, so on and so on. And so you can very quickly, with very little time, say, hi, John, blah, 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 and have another recording, which is maybe persona and industry, which might be 3x3 9. So that's 9 recordings at 30 seconds. You had 40 recordings for the names at 30 seconds. You throw a little infographic to do the cutover so it doesn't look like you've spliced them together. Throw it in the YouTube video, and boom, now you have, for 4 hours of work, a personalized video for 40% of your prospects. So yeah, pair it with other channels, other touches, but be strategic, right? Phone calls take time, energy, money. They don't work for every persona, right? If it's, you're not going to get on the phone with the CEO of Citibank, so be smart about it. And, again, the time it takes. So, but you've got the KPIs, right? Hey, this many opens and this many clicks puts it on the call list. Otherwise, it's not on it. And you just work it backwards. If your budget and time is, I can make 10 calls a day, then you look at, all right, what criteria of opens, clicks, engagement, whatever gets me to that list of 10. And you'll normally double it because obviously you're not going to spend all the money on all your prospects to find a direct dial for them, right? It's a waste of money if they reply no. So, you'll wait till that moment comes, and then you normally want to double because you only find direct dials maybe for about half of your leads. So, budget for 20 from 10. And, that could be a handwritten note. It could be sending a gift card. It could be, any touches that you found in the past help it, right? And so it validates you. They see you elsewhere, and it just hedges your bets. Some go to spam. You'll never know it, and you'll get them somewhere else.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I mean, I just having the multiple channels is, it can't be overemphasized. Well, this is amazing. Ian, thank you so much for sharing these ideas with us. And, one thing that we have here that Ian put together for us is an awesome PDF on Personalization 101. So some of these ideas that you got, he literally gives you the templates of emails, specific emails with the different custom attributes. You've got to check this out. I will link that, a direct download to that just right below this video and in the blog, wherever you're seeing this, so you can just download that. And obviously you can reach directly out to Ian at Pilot Now. Ian Bloomberg, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Awesome, man. So there are the 5 keys to setting more appointments with cold email. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an awesome free training on the data-driven approach to help you crush your sales goals. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more sales at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking my face right about here to get access to a new video just like this one each week.